Welcome to TouchDesigner Python examples. In this video, we'll look at a few different ways that we can explore additional examples of how to use Python in TouchDesigner. Let's get started by clicking on the Help menu and then selecting Python examples. We'll see our loading screen and then a new project will open up here. Perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and make it full screen, and here at the beginning, I am just going to hide the parameters dialog for us. Perfect. So here in the center is where we'll see all of our Python examples. We have this handy instruction text that states that all of these components contain examples of Python code. And in these examples, you can run any DAT with the prefix test underscore. And we'll take a look at that in just a second. Here on the left-hand side, we have an index, and this index contains all of the examples that you see here. On the right-hand side, we have our text port, which is used for seeing any of our print statements or anything that we are using here, or any of the scripts that we're running inside of this Python project. Great. So to get started, let's go ahead and jump to the first example here inside of parameter expressions in binding. So if I click bind chains, it'll actually jump me to the specific example bind chains. However, if I selected parameter expressions in binding, it'll actually show me the group of examples that we have here. So that is just one helpful thing to note, that when we're jumping inside of these, if we click on the top level list, that'll give us all of them, and then we can jump to specific examples here. So now that I am looking at bind chains, we can see this example. And the example is basically showing that all three of these sliders are bound together, and I can go ahead and click any of them and they will all slide together. Awesome. So let's go ahead and look at this Python script. So using Python to change a bound parameter's value works like changing the value in the UI. Run the following script and watch the sliders above. So if we just scroll in, we can take a closer look at the script that we have here. And it says value equals op slider 2, which I know is the first slider here. Op slider 2, its parameter value 0. Great, so value. If value, so the value of wherever this slider is landing, is less than 0.5, so less than half, set the value to 0.75. So if it is less than 0.5, set it to 0.75, else. So if it's higher than 0.75, set it to 0.25. So let's scooch this all the way down here, and then I'm going to click on this DAT. I'm going to right click and I'm going to run script. Now we can see that indeed got set to 0.75. If we wanted to see how the else statement works, we could go ahead and set this all the way up here and then run script. And here we have it. It is set to 0.25. So one of the great things about these Python examples is that they are live and editable, and you can go ahead and kind of explore in real time how the examples work. An important thing to see is that I'm going to jump ahead here to extensions. And in extensions, we can see that we have this nice big button that says Open Wiki Page Extensions. If I go ahead and click that, we'll see here I have a browser open, and it opened me to that extensions page where I can learn more about extensions in TouchDesigner. If I go back to my Python project and just click through, I can see that a lot of these pages have these really helpful buttons to open me up to the wiki. But let's say, for example, this button wasn't here and I wanted to learn more about the OSC in DAT. I'm going to go ahead and click P again, just so I can have my parameters dialog. And I am going to click on this first question mark. The first question mark would just take me to the wiki page about the OSC in DAT so I can learn more information about it. But let's say I really was concerned with the Python examples or the Python classes and information about this operator. Well, what I could do is I could just scroll down on the wiki. This is one way. And I could look for this little Python icon and I could click OSC in DAT class. and that'll take me to the Python OSE in DAT class page. Additionally, I could also go back to my Python examples and just click on the Python help, which is the question mark with that little Python logo in the background. Additionally, let's say we're in the wiki. I'm going to make this full screen. And I just wanted to learn more about Python in TouchDesigner. I could go ahead and click Python here on the left menu sidebar, and I would have an entire section about Python in TouchDesigner, learning Python, classes and modules, and some Python gotchas. Lastly, what I wanted to show is Python class reference. So if I click on that, this is an incredibly helpful page for listing all of the important classes and modules inside of TouchDesigner. So this is super handy to have. And these are just some key pages inside of the wiki that I wanted to show you. Lastly, if you do want those live examples to be able to explore kind of real time, how node wiring works or how we can control specific operators or SOPs, you name it, the Python examples is definitely the best way that you can go ahead and explore live examples. So that is looking at Python in TouchDesigner.